Live from the Stream Center in Tampa, Florida, the home of News Channel 8, your official Bucs station. This is Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now, powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers control their own destiny. Where have the Bucs most improved, though, recently, and why will this be imperative come Sunday against the Green Bay Packers in Week 15? Plus, who could be back on the gridiron and off the gridiron, right, Karen? For the Bucs, we tell you everything you need to know right here, right now on Bucs Bonus. I'm your host, Aileen Hnatiuk, alongside my teammate and your Bucs Insider, the lovely Karen Loftus.
Hello. Claps for you two. Claps for us both.
This is the one Dan gets when he's here. He gets the crickets.
Oh,
usually.
He likes that.
He
one,
loves
though.
it. Yeah,
he owns it.
He does. He's like, "Where are my crickets? I don't want an applause." Yeah. So great deal for the Bucs getting the dub against the Falcons. Much needed win. Much necessary as well, especially
Big
after
time.
the first time they faced the Falcons. I know that wound still stung a bit heading into that game.
Yeah, I think one of the things, I think it was Baker might have said it after the game, where it was like, you really want to show improvement. It's like, you had your first meeting with the Falcons and looking at a similar situation coming down to the wire, and they were able to pull out the win. So it's like similar circumstances, but different result, showing improvement. And, it's like you want to win all the games.
Right.
Ideally, every team wants to go undefeated, win the Super Bowl. That's not the reality.
Right.
But when you get a team that can win the games that matter, they just won back-to-back division games, and they're at atop the division standings.
Right.
So
yeah,
it is what it is, but they're in the position they want to be. So however you got to get there, right?
Yeah, and it's funny too. It doesn't. I wanted to ask the guys this today in the locker room. It doesn't almost feel like they're on a 2-game win streak and they're at the top of the division. It's like, I think it's the fan. It's you guys out there if you're listening. It's the fan. I'm like, it doesn't feel. I don't feel the hype from you guys. But the locker room's good. That's all that matters. But it's interesting to say right now they are on a 2-game win streak, and they are first in their division.
Yeah, everything ahead of you, and that's been sort of the underlying theme. When they started coming up with some more losses here and there, it's like, okay, well, the goals are still ahead.
Right.
And I think that's what everybody needs to focus on in regards to like Bucs fans, Bucs players.
Right.
And also there were encouraging things. And you and I both will talk about like encouraging things. We're going to find them every game.
This is going to be a positive podcast if you're listening, baby.
So much
Get ready for
positivity.
the positivity.
So I don't know about you, maybe like something that you thought was encouraging. I'll share the defense.
Okay, you go.
It's like Carlton Davis, nearly gets, amazing interception, nearly a pick six. They call him down at the 8.
Yeah.
They get a safety. I think those were some highlights and sort of how it happened too. It wasn't just like, oh, that was an interception. Like that was an interception.
The thing I like about this team too is, sure, a lot of times things are hot and cold in terms of, having a penalty right after an interception or something. I'm just saying, for example.
Yeah, 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Exactly. However, what they do is they always try and take that step forward after they step back. Like they're not just going to cave and give in and, they find a way and they work through it. But for me, I really like what Cade Otton has been doing for them. I've mentioned this in one of my stories the other day that I turned for our broadcast. It's like he comes through in the most clutch situations.
Wasn't it a couple weeks ago? Bowles called him the steady Eddie. He's like, he always does the right thing. He's so reliable. And another example.
Yeah, he did. He for sure credited him. And I mean, it goes to show with his touchdown pass, 31 seconds left, and that finished it. That sealed the deal. And kudos to them. And I like the chemistry that him and Baker have, and it's really important, right? You have your stars when they're both in double coverage, or they're just being eaten alive. In terms of being covered, you have to look to those other dudes, and Cade Otton is that guy. Especially Trey Palmer too. Like we've raved about him all season long.
See ball, get
He's
ball.
Special. Yeah,
it's like the first thing. I'd like Trey Palmer. See ball, get ball.
I wonder. What I will admit, we're probably a little biased though, because we did both. We worked in Louisiana,
we did,
so it's like, okay, Trey, we see you, we get it. But yeah, it's. I think it was he's had 6 touchdowns in the last few years. Cade Otton has, and
they've been clutch.
3 of the 6 or 3 of the 5 have come in the last minutes. So he, as you were saying, Todd Bowles, he's reliable.
Yeah.
Like the quarterbacks trust him, and that's so important. So that one's for you, Kate. There you go. There's your applause.
And how about Chase Edmonds? We were sort of getting into that today. He had his best game. He had 40 rushing yards. I mean, Rashad White has still led the team in rush yards every single game. But, you know, I think Bowles was saying today, it's like, you know, it's nice to have somebody else who can carry the ball, give Rashad a breather, and also just add somebody else to the scouting report that opponents have to account for.
Yeah, and it's weird, though, because I almost thought that was going to be Sean Tucker. I thought we would talk about Sean Tucker right now. We're not, but like you said, Chase has really become that that backup cowbell. Like, you can rely on him too, and that's really important. Yeah, you know who's really happy about this 2-game win streak?
Oh, do tell.
Take a wild guess.
Oh, Albert?
Could be Buckified Bird. Okay. Let's see what he has to say.
Hello, Aileen. This is Buckified Bird. Look, I want you to know I'm so happy to be on Bucs Bonus, especially when I'm talking the talk and the Buccaneers walking the walk. You know what I've been saying, back to back to back, and now we are number 1 in our division, and we're on our way to playing against Green Bay. And we don't like Green Bay. Green Bay didn't show me anything last night. And so you might as well get ready for win number 7 coming up Sunday against the Green Bay Packers. Taking care of business. And I promise you, it won't be no way the Green Bay Packers can stop the Buccaneers from whooping them right in their house. We're going to rearrange their furniture. Now, the stats of the week, Casey Sloan. She's going to take up the mic. This is Buckified, and I'm out.
Okay, guys, it's no secret that the Bucs are back at the top of the NFC South. And with that, I can only think of one player to choose for this week's KC Stat Chat Player of the Week, and it is the one and only Baker Mayfield. Mayfield threw for 144 yards, had 2 touchdowns with no interceptions, and rushed for a 3rd touchdown against the Falcons. His rushing touchdown marked his first since joining the Bucs and the 7th of his NFL career. He now has 4 career seasons with 20 or more touchdown passes. Now, although Baker is this week's Player of the Week, I also want to shout out second-year tight end Cade Otton because his last-minute game-winning touchdown against the Falcons Sunday was his 3rd last-minute touchdown in the past 2 years, which is more than any NFL player. So that's all I have for you guys this week, and I'll see you all after the holidays.
Amazing.
Oh, we love that. We also love Albert. You know, he just calls it like it is. He said, I didn't see anything from the Packers. So
yeah, and he's not wrong. Speaking of that game, what a crazy game against the Giants.
Oh.
Yeah, came to a last-minute field goal there. And, I mean, Tommy DeVito, he's doing his thing. You see that? He's doing that? You haven't seen that?
No.
If you're listening, I don't even know what to call it. See, that's another thing that's going around is like reporters asked Tommy, like, what does this mean? And he's like, I don't know. It's just an Italian, it's a name. And so I'm now having trouble explaining it. I don't know what to say. But if you've seen it, you get it.
There's an emoji too.
It's everywhere. Yeah. So, okay. Anyways, moving on here. They absolutely ran all over Green Bay, by the way, which their run defense, Green Bay's run defense is 31st in the league. Not great. Not great at all. Really bad. So that's something the Bucs are going to really need to capitalize on. And I kind of wanted to ask about that today too, but it's almost like a little obvious. Like, we're not going to tell you our game plan, but if you look at the stats, it's like, okay, they're probably going to run the dang ball. What does that movie, The Blind Side? Run the dang ball, Bert. Run the dang ball.
You know I'm not the movie reference person. If Dan was here, he would be all over it.
He would.
Sorry for the crickets on the other side of any movie reference you could possibly throw out.
Yeah, I'm not a huge movie gal either. I'm a big documentary gal, though.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Yeah, love those. Especially the murder documentary.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's where
Not
we
you?
diverge.
Okay,
No,
all right.
absolutely
Awkward. Here's that one's for me now.
Oh my
we have all
gosh.
had crickets now.
Okay, so Packers are next up, and I think that if the Bucs can keep the mentality of, like, they knew how extra important those division games were, and if they can keep that mentality, like Todd Bowles said, you know, he's like, every game from here on out has that magnitude and carries that weight.
Yeah.
because, I hate to sound the cliche phrase of like, the further you get in the regular season, the margin of error just gets smaller and smaller.
Well, it's all
every
cliche
week.
at this point. And let's
It
be
is.
honest, a lot of things we say in sports are cliche and can be redundant and whatever, but they're also all true.
That part.
They're also all true. And Baker said the same thing, right? As you were saying with Bowles and vice versa. It's the mentality. If they can keep this into this weekend and bring the momentum, I think it was KJ Britt, who I was talking with, who said, I asked him, he finished third, I believe, in the defense. He had 4 total tackles, I believe 8 total tackles, 4 solo.
He has been playing very well.
He has been playing out of his mind.
Stepping up when your number's called.
Yes.
Epitome of.
Yeah. And I mean, what a great story there. But he said, I was like, what do you do this weekend, right? Like, how do you bring last weekend to this weekend, whatever? And he's like, that was last week. Falcons were last week. Don't care about the Falcons. Care about Green Bay.
Love it.
So,
moving on.
Right. So moving forward, the vibe in the locker room was great, right?
Good.
It's the energy is matching their words per se. Like all of this talk about how, stay together. It's playoff time. Like this is December football. Everyone's hurt in some aspect, but we're here. We're going a million miles an hour and we want to win. It's win or go home. We have 4 games left, but for us, the mindset, win or go home.
Essentially.
So, and it's nice to feel like that, the things are matching because I think we lose sight of how important having a good locker room is, right?
Big time. Attitude, body language.
Yeah.
Speaking of injuries, you mentioned, everybody's banged up at this point.
Let's talk about it.
Do you want me to run through
I do. Take it away,
latest?
girlfriend.
Okay.
Yes.
So Bucs injury report for Wednesday. Granted, it's very early in the week, so we don't
walkthrough.
We don't put too much stock in. Was it a walkthrough today?
It's like a stand through, rather.
Okay. Okay. So if it was a walkthrough, then these are projected. But so 7 players did not participate. Devin White, Vita Vea, Zach Triner, Ryan Neal, Chris Godwin, Will Golston, and Carlton Davis.
God, I always want to say Goldstein. I'm sorry, Will. I won't do it. It's in my head. I'm saying it in my head, not out loud.
Oh, yeah. Will got injured in this last game.
Yeah, he did.
Which you hate to see. In my time here, I can't think of a time that he has been injured.
Really?
And he's like one of the longest tenured players, I think, behind Levante David. But
wow.
I cannot remember him being injured.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ryan
then Jamel
Neal,
Dean
too.
was limited, who you have on the screen there if you guys are watching this. So, again, I think the focus here is
what's the
most
biggest,
of
what
these
stands out
players
to you?
are on defense still.
Okay. Yeah.
It's more of the side of the ball that you're having these injuries.
There you go. Which it's weird to see Chris Godwin's knee because I think it was his back last week, right?
Something during the game where he was hurt a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's hurt. Everyone's
need
falling
Vita
apart at
back.
this point. They need him back for sure. I think that's the biggest thing for me.
That's major.
Yeah. Especially with this Packers team. I mean, they're gonna come in hot. They're gonna come in angry. I mean, they're coming off a bad win, right? Against the Giants. Or I shouldn't say bad. Disappointing rather.
Is it going to be cold in Green Bay this weekend?
I'm sure, girl. Look, it's cold here for me. I mean, it's 55. I said to our weather folks the other day, I said, listen, I don't want to see colder than 55 degrees.
No, Rebecca Berry and I would be hibernating.
Yeah, Jeff was like, I'll try to tell the weather, Eileen, and let you know what they say.
When I go down there sometimes, because our segment hits after the weather, and there's sometimes I'll be looking at it.
Yeah.
And if there's a 4 in there, 40s.
No, I'm inside.
During the commercial break, I'm like, can I send that back? Can we send it back?
We're good. We're good on that.
So anyway, needless to say, I would certainly not be made for Green Bay weather in December. But football players, they love it. They're like, that's football weather.
Todd said something about the weather today that would be in effect. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, so I'm not going to repeat this if I can't fully remember it. Yeah, and that being a little bit of maybe a challenge, but let me I have a computer in front of me, so I want to see what the temperature actually is right now.
Yeah.
Green Bay.
While you look it up, I'll just chat about it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about
35.
35 right now or projected on Sunday?
Okay, 35 is right now. Sunday the high is 40.
I feel like that might be warm.
The low is 29.
It could be worse.
Could be better.
Also true.
Anyways.
Also true. Anyways, always a factor. And people say it may be, may not be, but it affects the way you grip the football.
sure.
It affects, the ground is harder. Like, you're running, your cleats, all of the things.
Yeah.
And for a team that you're literally, what was it, maybe like 2 weeks ago, and it's in the 80s, and whatever the last Bucs home game was.
Yeah.
It was like a heat wave.
Yes.
It's like 90s.
I know. And today I was wearing a jacket out. I was supposed to be like 74 and cool. And
it's jacket weather.
It is, but the sun made it like 90. I was like, oh my goodness, this feels like the summertime. But yeah, no, it's you could say, and like if you're them, like obviously you're not going to sit there and say like weather's going to be a huge impact on our, like no, but like you said, there are logistic things that have an effect. And Baker said the field over there is a bit sketch too, or
interesting.
something. Yeah, is it slippery or something? I think
I always find it very interesting, players' perspectives on the different fields or the stadiums or whatever different
and the noise
arenas,
and the
all of that.
Yeah, and Lambeau is gonna be
packed.
Be loud. It's gonna be loud. No pun intended. With the I know there's drums on here. I can't remember which one. There it is.
Was it? Hold on, do it again. I was talking.
There we go. Yeah, but I mean, this Packers team here, like they are coming off a loss and they have a short week. So
also, always a big factor.
Huge. And when you think about that, it almost evens out the fact that they have their home advantage. But at least in the beginning of the season for the Bucs, they were playing really well away. I mean, you went to that Vikings game like loud. So, they'll be fine.
Yeah. Bucs riding some confidence, knowing what's on the line, seeing how they were able to step up with high stakes with those division games.
Right. Speaking of division, let's talk about it a little bit. Why not?
Look at it.
Yeah. So it's confusing, right? Because there's 6 and 7. There's 3 of them.
The head-to-head, the common opponents. Yeah.
And it's going to be obvious when I say this, but the best case scenario for them is that they win the rest of their games. And then there's no scenario that they don't get that spot, that playoff spot.
And that's ideal. You want to be in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
You never want it to come down to a game where you're waiting on the results of another
it's the worst
team. It's like, just handle your business, and then you don't have to worry about those playoff scenarios that we're getting to the point where when the league sends out the playoff scenarios in like their media stat packs where it's like, okay, I think last week was like the Eagles can clinch if X, Y, and Z happen.
And I try to say it in simplest terms too, because you can get lost in the weeds with this thing.
And some of them are pretty obscure. It's like if so and so wins or ties and X, Y, and Z lose.
No, and it's like you don't need to do all that. It's doing the most. I'll read this from Bucs.com. Scott Smith, obviously writing this from this article. For the Packers, they won 3 in a row, okay, including those back-to-back wins by the Lions and the Chiefs. So to get back in the wild card race at least. But the loss puts them 3 behind the Lions in the NFC North hunt. The Packers currently own the 3rd wild card spot and have to worry about a large pack of contenders, including 5 other 6 and 7 teams.
So they got stuff to fight for.
So again, shout out Scott Smith reading that from Buccaneers.com. But who did the Saints, the Falcons play? I believe the Panthers, right? Let's see. Let's look this out. I don't want to get this incorrect. Who did the other division ride?
I'm looking.
Yeah.
They got Panthers, you're right.
Yeah, okay. So
Falcons at Panthers.
And then the Saints, I just looked this up before I came here. Guys, what day is it? I mean, it's just like, it's December for the guys, but it's also December for us as well.
Yeah. And the Saints, they have
the Giants.
Drum roll.
There you go. I don't think we have a drum
I feel like that's
roll
more
here.
of like a ba-doom than like a
There you go.
my poor attempt to do a drum roll noise.
But yeah, no, so they have the Giants. I'm going to go ahead and make some predictions here. And what you could, tell me what you think. Tell me if I'm wrong, right? Whatever. I think the Saints are going to lose to the Giants. I think the Falcons are going to beat the Panthers.
Okay.
So I don't know where that puts everybody. I think, and the Bucs and the Packers, though, the one that you care about the most, I think it's a toss-up because without this short week and this defeating loss from the Packers, I would probably put the Packers above the Bucs. But with the Bucs riding this 2-game win streak, the run game is improving by the week.
And you're going to be doing a story on that, right?
Yes.
You're going to feature that tonight.
Correct.
So we have that to look forward to. She's going to dive deeper into that facet.
Yes, and you can check out that on our website at WFLA.com. So yeah, and hopefully they get some guys back. I would assume, but you know what they say about assuming. I won't say it out loud because I like my job. But I think Vita Vea could definitely be back this week.
That would be major.
Sure. It would be huge. That would add a huge aspect.
He's always, you know what? I just sidebar on Vita. Like, I remember talking about him in the 2020 season, and that was my first season covering the Bucs, and just he was out for a little bit, and it's like realizing the impact he had on that defense, and it. Ultimate team sport, of course,
right?
But one person can have such a massive impact. Yeah, and I think ever since I saw how the Bucs played with him and played without him,
yes,
it's just such a credit to him for just being an incredible player, and now having and seeing this year what him and Kalijah can bring.
Oh man,
and what that's meant for the rest of the defense.
Yes. Dude, Kalijah's a dog. I'll tell you. He's for him to be a rookie too. Like we say it every week on here. I don't care. Well, he's got a bright future, and it's bright right now. And Yaya Diaby, all the rookies have been crushing it.
Him,
man,
he has gained so much confidence. I feel like
he's an asset and a necessity. Yeah, both of those things for the Bucs. But it's gonna be. It's going to be back and forth, I think, come Sunday, for sure. Jordan Love, he's poised in the pocket, as Todd Bowles said earlier today. They're a good football team. They have a lot of good players. It'll be a toss up, but I think the Bucs could definitely pull out a win here. But let's also credit too just how much this team has been involved in the community recently. I'm
loving these.
Yeah, and I've had the honor to go to a few of the
events.
Yes. And I wish I went to the one yesterday at St. Jude's?
I think it was
Hospital.
Yeah, I saw them singing like Christmas
they did
carols.
the Christmas Yeah.
I saw the team reporter, Casey Phillips, who's a dear friend of ours.
Yeah.
She posted something on our Instagram story, and I was like, oh my gosh.
So sweet. It's
and
so
they
sweet.
Love it. Like, they were just so into it, like singing the Christmas songs and just engaging with the children. And I just... This is my
awesome.
favorite time of year for so many reasons.
And I'm like literally so emotional. I mean, I'm going to admit this. I'm just going to admit this, and you guys can make fun of me or not, whatever. When we were covering the O-line going shopping for Heart Gallery, they are kind of the middleman for foster care systems, and they kind of they help pair the children with parents, and they, just help out and whatnot. I had interviewed one of the girls, and she has Antoine and his fiance Tessa as her mentors. And she was just telling me that she met Tessa in the hair care aisle, and she was like, hey, like, can you help me? What should I do? And then from there, she just became her mentor.
I love it.
Dude, I mean, she wants to go to FAU.
Awesome.
She wants to be work for the CIA. And it's just incredible. And I had interviewed her, right? And this is also on our website too, if you want to see this. This is a really cute story. It's a really cool story. And she was just explaining how much of an impact Antoine and his fiance Tessa have made on her. And she goes, they've told me this, they've told me that. And she's going, even you told me before this that, never let anybody tell me that I can't do it. Karen, tell me why I started tearing up.
Oh my God.
No, I swear. And look, I didn't even put this on Twitter because y'all don't even need to see this. I'm just going to tell you. But that's how much she, this stuff makes an impact on us too. Yes. Like, we're reporting on it, but like, it's still like, it really is it's cool. It's really cool. So, and all the teams, a lot of teams in the league obviously have been doing these types of things. So keep doing it. It's amazing. We love to see it. And Casey Sloan actually wrote about it online at WFLA.com. I've said that like 5 times. Yeah. The Bucs players sing Silent Night to tiny all children's hospital patients. So as you said, Karen, they were singing. Can you sing?
Well, Depends on who you
can.
ask. No, I like to when I'm by myself, I will sing. But like biggest
just
fear,
like chilling on the
karaoke
couch, just like
would be like my nightmare.
I can't do karaoke.
Would be not my nightmare. So I sing by myself.
Someone said to me they thought I would be able to sing because like my voice is a little deeper, and I was like, okay, no, I can kind of freestyle though. Should I do it right now?
Wow.
No.
If you, I wasn't going to do it to you like that, but I was not going to
willingly
put
myself out there.
Yeah.
Go now.
The floor is yours.
We're gonna stick to talking instead of singing and.
But I think that's a good note.
freestyling.
I think it's a good note to end on talking about
Yes.
the Bucs in the community, and also to point out like this takes a main spotlight this time of year and like the giving
100%.
back. But like they do it all year round too, right?
Yeah, they do.
It's like
especially in the off
all
season.
throughout the year, and it's one of our favorite things
Yeah.
to cover as journalists, as reporters, is to highlight all the good,
good and all
that
the
these
positive.
Bucs players and all the other leagues too, Lightning and Rays and Rowdies,
Yeah.
are doing in the community.
Yeah, it's important, and to hear them to talk about it and just be passionate
They
about
love
it. Too.
it.
They love it.
Yeah.
I mean, you really like. This isn't one of those things where, in college, right? You're like. You play college sport and you have to go have a certain amount of volunteer hours, or maybe I don't think the NFL does that.
Not
You
that I
do in
know of.
college, and
Yeah.
you're kind of like you're out there because you have to be. Not these guys, like they want to be out there and they want to be making an impact in the community. So it's really, really beautiful to see. So yeah, we'll end on that happy note there.
Love it.
Yeah. So yeah, we're here every single Wednesday, guys. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple, watch us on YouTube. I got a bunch of cool, shiny graphics you could watch. I have trouble paying. I'm like trying to listen to you, but I'm like, oh my God, these graphics
How
are
about
so
this?
beautiful.
How
That's a
about that?
nerd in me, right? I'm like,
We
wow.
love it. It's all encompassing of our
Yeah.
job. The visuals, the audio,
It's
everything.
all the things. But yeah, appreciate you guys listening, and we will see you next week. Hopefully we're talking about another Bucs win.
Bye-bye.